Hi, my name's Joe. Welcome to the channel where I help you make better coffee and give you honest reviews. Today I have the Atom 75, the Eureka Atom 75. Anyways, before we get into the video though, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, as I know many of you have not subscribed. About somewhere between 80 and 90% of the people watching my videos do not subscribe. So hit that subscribe button, it helps me a lot. But what we're going to talk about today is the Eureka Atom 75. We're going to talk about the look, the feel, the pros, mostly just pros because there's not a lot of cons, and maybe one really subjective thing that I will kind of convey what I would like them to do with this grinder. So let's get into it. All right, let's first talk about looks. I think Eureka did a great job on the Atom 75. It's kind of sleek looking, it's tall, it's got all metal build and everything, so it's got a really nice look to it. It also comes in chrome, and boy does that thing look stunning. I've seen it in chrome, and it is, if you have a chrome machine like I have, it would be a very nice pairing. It does cost a little extra, but it's probably worth it if you really are about the looks of your coffee setup. The footprint too isn't too bad. It's pretty slender. It's a little tall, I'll say that, at 17 inches, so if you have cabinets that don't have a lot of space, or you really value being able to get in there and pour coffee into the coffee hopper, keep in mind that it is a little tall, but other than that, it's really a beautiful grinder. All right, so let's talk about the build quality. This thing is made out of all metal. There's really not plastic to be found other than like maybe a little bit of plastic on the facade here. But other than that, it really is a really nice built grinder. Not only that, the knob, the turn knob on here is probably the best little turning knob I've ever used. It's very, very smooth, very easy to turn, doesn't make big quick adjustments. It doesn't need a lot of pressure, and it just feels nice. It's got a nice grip to it. It's very sturdy. The only thing I'll say that I don't know why a lot of coffee company or grinder companies do this, but the plastic hopper, it just comes with the game for whatever reason. But all of the coffee grinders I've used, even in the really high-end range, still have, in my opinion, kind of a plasticky, cheap feeling hopper. But again, it's common on all of them. The next thing too on that is it does come with a 75 millimeter burr set, and it's crazy nice. I mean, the build, like again with the build quality, when you're getting a 75 millimeter burr set, you're getting a very, very high-end grinder. Speaking of the burr set, let's talk about using the grinder. The grinder, like I said, has a 75 millimeter burr set, which means this thing is quick. It is pumping out coffee at about 2 grams per half a second. So it is wicked fast. I get 16 grams or so in 2.6 seconds. So it's awesome. I just love using it. The speed is awesome. And not only is it fast, it's quiet. This thing is the quietest grinder I think we have ever used. And we've used a few that have been very quiet in the past, mostly from Eureka, actually. So I've been very impressed with that. With that said, the interface is also pretty user-friendly. You hit the minus or plus button, and you get about a fraction. You get 0.05 second changes. So it's pretty good, pretty quick to adjust. And the other thing, too, is you have 3 options here. You have a manual button to manually grind as long as you want, and then you have a 2-cup and a 1-cup option as well. All of those give you a pretty easy daily use for your grinder. The other thing too is the shoot angle when you put a portafilter in there is really nice. You never have really any coffee grounds that fly around, and that might have something to do with Eureka's design with the static, the anti-static chute that they've kind of built in there. A lot of coffee grinders, especially when you're in a coarser setting, will really get a lot of static and start to stick to the coffee grinder itself and doesn't all get into the actual portafilter. In this one, you rarely have to clean up a mess around your coffee grinder. All the grinds are right there in the portafilter. In the mornings, I've really found myself enjoying the light. I've never been somebody who's been like, oh, I need a light on my coffee grinder, but I will say it is pretty nice when the sun hasn't rose yet, and you can kind of see what you're doing down there with their portafilter, and you can see when your coffee's in there and how fluffy everything is, and you could even use the light to tamp near it as well. So I really like that added feature. Now look at that magical puck action. I will say this coffee grinder consistently gets the cleanest puck knockouts ever. Now I do use a puck screen, but it's even so, this knockout is better than I've ever seen. They stick together great, and I'll even try to crack this in half so you can kind of take a look. So yeah, I mean, it's really a fantastic fantastic pucks, great grinder. All right, so it's the moment everyone's been waiting for. It's time to do the workflow and make a shot with this grinder. So let's do it. Let me tar this in. I've been shooting around, I think it's like 16.5 grams into this portafilter at 2.6 seconds. Let's see if that's holding true still. 16.7. Very, very close. I've only seen this, it fluctuates between like 0.2 grams generally with the time-based grinder, which is really great. I really like it a lot. So, do a little distribution. Oop. Tamper down. Get the old B+ puck screen out. And I'll give you the numbers on this as well. So I'm going to do a nice pre-infusion. And we're going to start pulling our shot now. All right, so we did 38 seconds, and we got 35 grams out, basically. Looks great. All right, time to taste. Cheers. Ooh, very nice. Chocolatey, nice, little bit of caramel flavor, and has some nice apple. I actually did try this before. I have a full review of the parlor coffee that I did. I'll link it above over in this direction, I think. You could take a look at the full review of the coffee. But yeah, it's beautiful shots out of this grinder. It's super clear. You have really nice clarity. Has really great flavors that you can really specifically grab and pick out very easily. Yeah, it's great. So, yeah, I guess it's time to give it a score. Let's head back. So it's time to get to a conclusion, give you a score and all that stuff. But first, I want to rant real quick about time-based grinders and why I think at a higher end level, especially, I would really prefer, especially if it's going to be used in a home setting, a weight-based grinder. So to me, when you're dialing in, using a time-based grind is kind of difficult because you're going to end up maybe wasting 1 or 2 shots or kind of fiddling around with getting the right amount of coffee into the portafilter. Because you could say 2.6 seconds, I'm going to get 16.5 grams out. But if I make an adjustment on the knob up here by, a little bit more than, just a tiny little switch, you're going to get a different amount of coffee into the portafilter. So it is going to be a little bit of a playing around until you get the exact time for the exact coffee setting you have it on in terms of coarseness. So that's just a quick little piece. I would prefer if they at least made an option, maybe do both. Like, hey, you could do time-based, or we have this other option on here, you could do weight-based grinding. again, not the end of the world. I still think this is an amazing grinder, but I want to point that out before I give it a score. Also, before I score it, I want a special thanks to the Espresso outlet for giving this to me to review and be able to share with everybody my thoughts on it. I will leave a link in the description below for you to pick this grinder up and all the other stuff I use. But yeah, special shout out to them, and let's give it a score. So I think at $1,500, which is pretty pricey for a coffee grinder, it is probably worth the dollar figure because of the fastness. I mean, this thing is grinding blazingly fast. I mean, you gotta wait it's not even worth, like sometimes when I'll use a different grinder, I'll put another cup there while I'm pulling a shot to get another, you know, to grind before that shot's even done. It's not worth it on this coffee grinder because of how fast it is. You just hit a button and you basically count, you know, 1, 2, okay, it's done. So it is really, really nice, and it's super quiet. So if you do have a lot of people in your household and maybe you wake up early or something like that, I can see wanting to spend that. And if you're definitely in a cafe setting, this grinder is phenomenal. So if you're running a small cafe or, you know, a low volume cafe or maybe even a higher volume cafe, this coffee grinder, maybe get 2 of them if you have a high volume cafe, but this thing is really awesome. So I'm gonna give it a score of 9.2. I think it would be very dangerously close for me to give it a 10 if it had weight-based grinding as an additional option on here, but I really gotta say this thing is a pretty awesome grinder. I'm gonna be sad to see it leave the house when we do ship it out. So thanks again for watching. Again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Catch you in the next video.